video of our especially your interview with SAFC. Again, thank you very much to him for joining me and agreeing to put up with being on this channel. And now, if you go back to the first video we talked about on YouTube, the Sunderland moment, which was a good laugh. I have going to be a bit less of a laugh though. So, I'll ask you how you're doing, but I think we all know we're okay, non-football wise. Football wise, I have a feeling we're going to get some frustrations out here. So here we go then. First of all, did you listen to Stuart Donald's interview on BBC Newcastle Total Sport?
I haven't actually listened to it, but obviously saying a lot of the bits and pieces that have obviously come out of the situation. But like I says, I mean, I watched your video, I watched the Man Mistakes video, and I even let my own frustrations out a little bit. But the way I see it is I just don't believe a word that comes out of his mouth.
Not long ago, actually, funny enough, I'm not believing the word that comes out of his mouth, and I think it's perfectly reasonable to say that because anything you can see with Donald can be taken with a pinch of salt these days, and you can't really write, well, you claim you want to sell the club, but then you're going to put up the price of 37.6 million. I know we've obviously, I think in the grand scheme of things, that's a good price for Sunderland, but obviously I know your point was in League One, for a League One club, that is quite high, that is quite considerably high. So if Donald really, and especially if Donald only, I've just literally seen a notification, Jam Sonic just put a video, Stuart Donald blames fans for everything.
All right.
Watching that later. But anyway, well, obviously it'll already be up by the time this goes on the channel, but still. So I've just made myself look like a tit there, not for the first time. Saying that, if he's only put about 16 odd million into the club, why am I asking for more than double what he's put into the club? I don't understand that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even at the time and that, I mean, it's like you look at it two ways, like what you said, potentially, in the future, it would be a bargain because this club's absolutely massive, and potential owners could do anything with this club.
Don't tell fans of other League One clubs that apparently.
Yeah, but yeah, you could do anything with the club eventually. So in the long term, it could look like good money, but in the short term, you can see why some people are thinking it is a bit too much. I mean, even that for 40 million until he's put it down to 37.6 is still a little bit too high. But it's just two ways, and that you look at both sides and that.
Well, here's one. I'm going to put out a conspiracy. I'm going to put out a conspiracy theory here, and I only just thought of it. And this doesn't account for the rest of the money that's on reportedly wanted for the club. But Donald apparently put in something like 16 million. I think there's some figures somewhere that said 16 million into the clubs would leave 21 million. Punch, one of the reasons he's asking for so much money is because he can't afford to repay the FFP loan, and if we then have the club being sold for this amount of money, then he can repay the FFP loan and have a bit of a fat paycheck for himself. What do you think?
Yeah, that's probably true. I heard some people also thinking it could be to do with does he need to pay some things back in the past, when he owned Eastleigh and Oxford or something? Maybe, I don't know.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time that's the case if something like that did come to be materialised. Now, actually, because one of the other things that you've mentioned in your videos, and I don't think this gets talked about enough, is Juan Sartori. I know that you're not particularly big fan of Juan Sartori, and I can see for good reason. So the question is, can you answer this to me? What the hell is put into this? What's he done in the 2 years that's been here, apart from smile on camera?
I'll tell you the only thing he's done, right? Yeah, pissed in Trafalgar Square. That's all he's done. He literally hasn't done anything. It's just been lies. I'm going to fetch Uruguayan talent in the academy. That was 2 years ago. It hasn't happened.
I know.
And this guy's got plenty of money. He owns loads of oil in Uruguay. His father-in-law owns Monaco, who's a Russian billionaire, but he hasn't done anything, even though Stuart Donald said, apparently he put a little bit into the club last season. Did he?
Well, yeah, exactly. But there's been claims that Juan Sartori's put millions and millions into this club, but yet there's also claims that he bought 20% stake for £1.
Right. Yeah, I bet he's taken loads out.
Probably has, yeah. But that's the thing. So again, Juan Sartori was supposed to. I thought he was connected to the owner of Monaco. Was it sure his father-in-law or something? Some relative is apparently connected. The owner is connected to or owning Monaco. So that's where's the money? Where's the money? If you're claiming you're going to come in and actually increase the stake and shares of the club and increase the money that's going to be put into the club, well, why are we not seeing it when we're in League One? Why are we not when we need the money?
Did you hear about he's doing a documentary about his presidential campaign in Uruguay?
Right, that's a campaign. Definitely not going to be watching that.
Yeah. Once he had a chance of becoming like president of Uruguay, he just lost interest in this club.
Yeah, I was going to say, he could just lose it completely, didn't he? He's better. I mean, didn't Charlie Murphy say a few months ago, Juan Sartori is going to be here on a more regular basis. He's going to be here on a a more consistent level, and we're going to see more of him.
He must be visible because I can't see him.
Oh, unless he's wearing visibility cloak from Harry Potter, I still can't see him.
Yeah, exactly.
In the comments, or even anyone in Thane's channel, tell me, where's Juan Sartori?
Mm-hmm.
You know the song, What's the Story in Balamory? Where the hell is Sartori? Would like to know.
Yeah, actually, who is Juan Sartori? Who is he?
Oh, exactly. Like, I think remember on SAFC Fan TV, I think we got asked, you probably watched this thing, but it's like, okay, where's, if one word to describe Juan Sartori, who?
Yeah,
Who's he? We're not seeing enough of him. Yeah, well, I can't believe I actually managed to squeeze 3 minutes out of you on Juan Sartori. The big point for me is, we're talking about asking price. Obviously, yeah, look, he said, like, in the grand scheme of things, how much Donald put into the club. If it's 16 million and he's in for over 20 million more than what he's actually put into the club, I can see how fans are pissed off. But I do think, for me, that buyers shouldn't really be the idea of investing Sunderland, say, 37.5 million, where you've got one of the best stadiums in the country, you've got a academy there, albeit it's done bottle with it, but we have got a academy. Not many clubs. I don't think there's any clubs outside the Premier League that have Category 1 academy. Then you've also got the best fan base in the country. Screw what other delusional fans of League One clubs have said. Some of it actually acknowledge for a club, but you've got a massive fan base, one of the biggest assets of the club, and we'll get onto the fan issue in a moment. But like, what do you think that a sale is actually going to happen? I think you said you're skeptical about it, but go on. What do you think?
I don't think like. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I really do, but I can't say it happens anytime soon because you hate. I mean, to be honest, right? I'm actually going to put something like at reporters now because apparently Sammy Yu, right, came out and says money's not a problem. But then there's been something like today from like reporters saying Sammy Yu doesn't want to pay too much money for the club. I
know, it's just like, well, hang on, mate. Sammy Yu, either money is a problem or isn't. Which is it?
So it's either Sammy Yu's lying or reporters are just making up stories. I don't know.
And as much as the media do get a bad rep sometimes, I think an unnecessarily bad rep. Sometimes they do write things that are out of context and not very good. But they, like you said up in your video, they can't all be wrong. All the media reports can't be wrong, especially coming out with Donald. So I don't know what the state of it is at the moment. Like, if Donald claims that he wants to go, well then stop making it so difficult to sell the club. Then,
I would believe everything that Donald's saying, right? Like about the whole no parties have come forward. If they hadn't come forward, but the fact is that potential buyers have come forward, well, that proves something's going on here. Something's not right because they would have thought this would be bought by now.
Well, exactly. Something's got to be going on here. This seems way too dodgy for something that would happen whatsoever. I mean, my big point is, and I want to go on to this, Campbell. I know you've said yourself you're not a fan of him, and I know that apparently financially he's either the same or not much better off at best than Stuart Donald.
He's just worth over like 4 or 5 million than Donald.
What, 4 or 5 million more than Donald?
Yeah, exactly.
So if that's the case, then do you think we'd be better off sticking with Donald?
I actually said that. I mean, I know, like, obviously we want rid of Donald, of course, but you might as well. I mean, yeah, if Mark Campbell does have an American like investors backing him, fair enough, but he will still have the final say running this club, and to me, he just seems like he'll be enough to Stuart Donald.
But that's like, why is it? This is the same Mark Campbell who a year ago was being included in the conversation to buy Sunderland, and yet then deemed good enough. Fast forward 12 months later, now all of a sudden he seems like the more likely buyer Donald wants to sell to. Now either the cynical reason is because Donald wants to maintain a stake in the club and wants to stay on and get a bit of a paycheck if we go up the leagues, or and the reason I'm hoping is because he's got more credible resources behind him in the wake of a consortium. So I don't know what to believe there. It does concern me a bit that we are, again, Campbell was deemed not good enough 12 months ago, that we're now going back to that, when apparently Stuart Donald rejected a Saudi consortium bid, which...
Doesn't it make you feel like a bit like suspicious how the takeover of Falkirk didn't happen with Mark Campbell?
It does make you question things a bit, doesn't it? I mean, obviously, apparently he's allegedly involved in some sex scandal that's been going on over the last so many years. I mean, I'll not get into that too much here, but it just makes me think, well, actually, we really asked this question, and I'm going to ask you it. Last night on SAFC Fan TV, he asked, the point was, because of Donald, he'll think that, right, okay, he'll see himself as doing a decent job for the club, whether for himself or he'll see himself doing a good job financially, but probably for his own pockets, let's be honest. As Kieran Brady said on Total Sport, don't insult our intelligence by making us think this isn't about money, because it is. So, do you think that Stuart Donald is wanting to sell the market also Mark Campbell fails and make Stuart Donald look better? Look what you had, you've hounded me out, and now you're paying expenses for it. Do you think there'd be anything in that?
That's actually a really good point when you think about it, because like Mark Campbell's already filled by the club once. He's filled with Falkirk. He's filled with a Swiss club. He's very likely that he could fill by in this club again, because like negotiations with Stuart Donald seem like possible at the minute. So like yeah, like it could fall through, and then like I told you, like it was like it's not right for the club or something like that.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like again, I mean, I have to credit Wee Philly for that, but I just never ever claim he's got the best interest of the club at heart again if he does something like that. There's no way that he can come out and claim something like that. I'm already pissed off enough with Donald on the regime at the moment anyway.
Yeah.
Of course, we'll get onto the Red and White Army in a meeting in a moment, but it's never dull, is it?
No, definitely not.
Right, what are your thoughts about what Nick allegedly claimed happened a couple of weeks ago when we had a Saudi consortium that was apparently interested in buying the club? Donald went, no. You know, we've already got a preferred buyer. And I believe Nick Barnes. I think Nick Barnes is quite a credible journalist, actually. If that is true, though, I'm expecting to go on a rant here if you want.
Well, I mean, if I did believe Stuart Donald, even though I don't want a bit, then you'd be like, yeah, maybe there was something dodgy behind it. I mean, there can be dodgy. There's always dodgy things going on with like any club and stuff. Even a really successful club can have dodgy things going on behind the scenes. But right now, apart from Mark Campbell, I would love to take the chance on any form of consortium. I mean, like, yeah, the Saudis might have had good interest, might have had bad interest, but at least they would have had money backing them. And that, like, obviously plenty of money. I mean, Sammy Hughes, I considered, like, maybe like a bit dodgy because of involved in the Carlson Young money laundering in Birmingham, but technically he was, like director of football there, and that's obviously, like, not the owner and that, but, yeah, that whole Saudi, like, thing, I think it just pissed every Sunderland fan off, didn't it?
Even if Saudis had dodgy intentions, well, Donald might seem a bit rich, thinking, "Oh, you don't have the good intentions of the club." When they have go and watch Jam Sarni's video on it. I think I've seen so much in one video as in that video, like when he's on a full Raji rant. But still, it's quite funny nonetheless. Here is the big chestnut. Meeting. Now, I obviously, as you know, I think you've watched both the recent videos I've put out at the time of recording this. What about Paul? Donald is blaming the fans, blah blah blah, and all that bullshit. What in my army meeting as a whole? Have you read the full minutes or the minutes?
Just like little like bits and pieces here and there, but honestly, the fact is, like, I mean, I actually found this out last night through a comment of one of my subscribers called Clayton, right, and he actually says that apparently, like, you know, some fans are getting blamed, and I'm thinking, I even like left a comment on your video saying, how can you like blame fans, right, when without fans, football, I think you might as well just say it's dead.
Well, if you look at it, right, and obviously you know the video I've just done where it's our fault, fans, it's our fault, apparently. I went through, obviously, with not including Checker Trade, League Cup or FA Cup home games, obviously, I went through every single home game since they've took over, and I looked at the attendance figures of home matches. And again, the consistent, hang on, I'm going to count how many is over 30,000. So 1, 2, hang on, so we're talking home games to play this season. So we've got 2 home games because Berry take about 19. So you've got 19 plus 24 home games last year, including the Portsmouth playoff game, which is like 40 home games.
Yep.
So I'm just going to quickly count how many actually were over 30,000 because I was amazed how many there were. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 13, 14, 16, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Now, if unless I've calculated that wrong, so I've counted 30 over half the home games there, we excelled 30,000. Now, obviously, that's skewed to a point because of away fans and how many come up. But that's still impressive numbers considering what we've been through, isn't it?
And, like, obviously, two of those games, and, like, obviously, like, one against Bradford and one against Port. So two of those games are 40, like, plus fans in attendance as well.
Exactly, yeah. And the high record in League One attendance, the Bradford Boxing Day game, I believe.
Yeah, well, apparently, we're to blame. It's our fault.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's just casually forget the fact that in 17-18, it was one of the worst seasons in our history where we only finished rock bottom and got relegated from the bloody championship. Come on. The next finished 5th in League One, worst season in our history then. Hey, let's go and top that this season. Worst season in our history again, finishing 8th in League One. Yet we still have around about 30,000 season card holders. But we probably average between 25,000 season card holders every season. But but it's our fault apparently.
Yeah, I mean, fans are doing everything right. I mean, it's clear. Like, obviously, like, you're getting worse and worse. It tells you from basically the whole club is just wrong at the minute.
Well, exactly, and that's not even including the constant time to hold the games out away from home, and the fact that we pretty much went and took over Trafalgar Square twice in 2 months. Exactly. Bearing in mind, on either occasion, we only probably had a couple of weeks' notice that we were going to be going to Wembley. So if you look at it, the Checkatrade final, when we beat Bristol Rovers, that was like the start of March 2019, and the game was at the very end of March. We only had about probably 3 weeks' notice. And the way that you've took 40,000 Sunderland fans down there, and whoever knows how many more fans that actually went down to London who weren't able to get a ticket. And the biggest annoyance to me then, you've got that, and then 7 weeks later, we get there in the playoffs, after we've thrown the automatic promotion, by the way. But, because from that after Rochdale, when we had 2 games in hand or whatever it was, we should have gone up automatically. And that's one thing I will hold against Jack Ross. Even though I do kind of thank Jack Ross. He gave me my first experiences at Wembley, even though I'm now sick of the damn place. But, but like the playoff final, and then Charlie Meffin apparently dig at us and said, there's not many fans coming at the ground. Like, well, yeah. Like 7 weeks earlier, we had to move through a lot of their budget to go down to Wembley, which isn't a cheap, and in London, which is a really expensive place to go for an area that Stuart Donald said himself isn't economically the best well-off area in the country. So he still managed to take out 30,000 fans, or at least far off that. So how can they claim the fans are to blame here? The fans have been constant throughout all the owners that have come and gone at this club. It's ridiculous.
Go
on.
Yeah, man. It's like the whole thing. It takes yesterday to actually hear from Stuart Donald. I mean, it's almost like most of last season, there was hardly any communication whatsoever from the top of the board and everything.
Well, exactly. You don't go from like one end of the extreme to the other. Even then, he's appointed his puppets, Jim Rodwell, and what is Neil Fox, someone like that, whoever the hell he is. And then you've got all the gang coming back together from Eastleigh. Which kind of is the biggest problem, that Sunderland don't seem to think that because we're in League One, getting people from Eastleigh is acceptable. Now, like this Eastleigh secretary, to be fair, he's doing a brilliant job, and if he is, fair play to him. But it's frustration that we seem to be thinking too small. We seem to be thinking this club overall as a grand picture belongs in League One when it doesn't. Now, obviously, in league status, we fully deserve to be in League One. I'm not suggesting that we're otherwise, but I just can't get that out of my head. Why do we have to accept that this club that has won league titles, 2 FA Cups, has had 7 place finishes in the Premier League before, has been in the Premier League just 3 years ago? Why do we have to accept that this is where we should be when it isn't? Why is getting out of the 3rd tier too much to ask for? I don't mean going down to League 2, just making that clear.
I mean, I know, like I said, we're in League One, obviously, because of past mistakes and obviously just not being good enough, obviously, at times on the pitch, like we but doesn't mean that this club should be run maybe not League One, but technically almost been run like a League Two conference club at times, especially with all the board members and everything, all the staff. Just ridiculous.
Well, exactly, and this is my big problem. Like, again, we just keep on settling for, one of my biggest things in the transfer market, and the last thing I will ask before we kind of wrap this, Phil Parkinson must be feeling in all this, because he's going to be the one who's going to be probably scrutinised more than anyone next season. And I mean, he doesn't know if he can make deals or not. There's tons of free agents out there, and I'm sure Phil Parkinson has said that times. Just an example, we want to sign Bailey Wright. Why has that deal not been wrapped up then if he's free?
Phil Parkinson must feel like a right idiot right now, and I feel sorry for him, I really do, because he was the one that actually, like I said, he was doing all the talking before this whole Stuart Donald thing, but he says a deal was supposed to be close for a player. Now, obviously, the club's told him this, right? This was 2 weeks ago now that a deal was supposed to be very close.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I only believe Phil Parkinson. Everyone else at this club, for me, just talk loads of shit, honestly.
Well, here's my final point before we wrap it up. What's your thoughts on Phil Parkinson? What do you think he needs to do next season to make sure we go up? And whether we think that's realistic or not, I think you said yourself that's what the only acceptable outcome next season promotion.
I do agree with the whole aspect, like what you said. He does need to get better with the whole sometimes team selections and obviously substitutions.
I'm Phil Parkinson. I'm supporting Phil Parkinson. I'm behind him for next season because I do think he's our best chance of going up. I think you've said he's our best chance of going up. So what do you think we need to do? I'll reword the question. What do you think we need to do to back Parkinson? What do Sunderland as a club need to do to help Parkinson get us in the top 2 next season?
Right, for one thing, and that he needs to be allowed. If he is going to play this whole, three at the back system, or a 5-3, 5-4-1, whatever system you want to. Whether this club does get a takeover or not, or whether Stuart Donald's still here, you still got to go out and get the players in that he wants to fit his style of play. Otherwise, what's the point? You might as well let Stuart Donald be managing the thing.
Fair enough then. Right. Two final points. I know I've said 5 points 5 times already, but still. Next point. What do you think about the government? Apparently, that on Twitter I saw somewhere today that the government, Boris Johnson, has suggested that fans be allowed back in the stadiums in October. What would your thoughts on that be?
I mean, the way I see it is it should only be if it's 100% safe, because a lot of fans will be obviously put off and stuff, especially elderly fans and stuff, or anyone that's got underlying health conditions. But I only agree to it, and that if it's exactly 100% and there's not a second spike of corona or anything like that. If it's not, then for me, I know obviously football's not the same way with fans, but you've got to think of everyone's health and safety, don't you?
Well, exactly. That's got to be priority. I think the EFL and FA need to step in and help lower clubs out in this case, then, because this pandemic is something that wasn't precedented, and it's not the club's fault. It's not the club's league's fault.
EFL either made the right decision. I mean, the EFL kept changing the date of when apparently the season's going to start.
No.
Just the window.
Oh, exactly. Exactly. We don't know about the EFL dates. We don't know about this stupid salary cap. We need to find out what's happening there, because then at least if someone can't make signings because of that, we at least know why they can't make signings. But anyway. Last question: will Sunderland go up next season? This is working on the assumption that we're going to be able to sign players that Parkinson wants.
I'm going
to try and be positive.
Yeah, I'm just going to quickly say this before I answer your question. Like it says, I really do hope it does work out for Parkinson, because if Stuart Donald is still here, I do think if we lose Parkinson, we'll end up with another Jack Ross type manager who's a yes sir no man. To me, Parkinson seems like a manager that doesn't take any shit. It's a Paul McGeady situation. Didn't want him around the club or anything. So,
fair enough.
I do believe we can get promoted under Parkinson, like I said, providing if he is allowed to get the players he wants and stuff. But it's just with the situation, you just 50-50, you just don't know. But I'm going to be positive and say we'll get promoted.
Okay, so does that mean we're going to get in the top 2?
You know what, right?
Again, assuming Parkinson gets adequately backed.
You know, on typical Sunderland, right? I do think this season's going to be tough. The teams coming down from the Championship, and Borough could be coming down potentially. You don't know. It just depends. But I know Borough's actually doing a bit better now on that. But Hull could potentially come down. Obviously Barnsley will come back down, maybe even Luton. But on typical Sunderland would probably go up this season, but it's the hardest time to do it.
Well, I'd love us to prove that wrong then. Right, I'll tell you what, we'll end on a positive and say we're going to get top 2, so you can blame us if it goes tits up next season, which you probably will, because we're Sunderland. Thane, thank you very much for agreeing to come on. It's been a real pleasure talking. Long time coming, to be honest. And let's see. And if you're up for it, and if everybody else in the comments likes it, maybe try and do video calls and talk more often about the shit show of Sunderland AFC.
Hey.
Take care, Thane, and stay safe.
Yeah, you too, man.